not here.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and
and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome everybody. Carl may join us, but Andy is in South Carolina, and Lisa, who is on the line here, is in Seguin, Texas. So we're ready to go. And I wanted to go ahead and mention that we do have 4 of us here at this time, so we do have a quorum. We will be making no decisions today, but I'd like to turn the meeting over to Dina. And she wished to have some time to explain some of the challenges, I think is a good way to put it, that they're facing out in the world of doing the assessments. So take it away, Dina.
Well, first of all, this is Alexis Simpson. She is responsible for 11 of our 15 township, and the 12th one she works with Lou Jean here in Paris. So she's looking over 12 townships of our 15, so I spend a lot of time with her and in the car. We are required by law to review every property in the quad area once every 4 years, and this year we've been in the southeast quadrant, Hutter, Stratton, Sims, Elbridge, and now we're finishing up Grandview. But we've recently had some incidents. We've always had people angry and ask us, get off the property now, and we do. But we recently had an incident where a woman took a picture of Alexis in her car and put it on Facebook and made some remarks that were completely untrue. We stayed out of it. The only thing we could have did is add fuel to the fire. We stayed out of it, but I thought, before any of you, not that any of you are on Facebook, but coffee shop talk, etc., I wanted you to know, one, she's always extremely polite. When they start yelling, off my property now, you have no right, etc., she apologizes and immediately leaves. We were accused of refusing to show any kind of ID. We always have these on. We have our driver's license if she wants to compare the two. Her car's marked and came after us, saw the car out there. So I wanted to make that very clear that we have done everything possible to not interfere in their property. We do drive up a driveway if it's off the road. If there's several bins, but we can see the peak of something behind, we will drive around just so we can verify. Is it a house? Is it a pole building? Is it an old rickety shed we don't want to mess with? So we do spend some time on the property. We call the sheriff's office nearly every morning, and now we have that every morning to say, here's the location we're at. They know her car, her make, model, license plate number, because we have people that have called us in. There's someone on my property, and that way they can help explain who we are. Her car is always marked with the magnetic signs. I said that.
See it out there as she came in.
Have I missed any? And then actually, Alexis, I'll let her talk. She actually had a personal incident that happened to her too, so I'll let you tell about that.
Yeah, from the Facebook post, because it was posted on a community page for Paris, so a lot of people seen it. And people who don't know any of us that are in the car to know what we do, took it at very face value. And it seems to have gotten a little out of control. There was another post that was made just to say, hey, she's in Sims. It got shared on a community page for Paris, and people were actually keeping track of my whereabouts. I seen her drive past the library. I seen her drive past this. So it was getting very out of hand. And at that point, it's kind of a worry of personal safety. It shouldn't be, it
You
was
look
just
real dangerous.
right,
Exactly.
right.
I'm
And
scared
that's,
to death just
yeah,
sitting here.
yeah. I even had an incident. We quit one day at lunchtime, and I went to a Mexican restaurant for lunch right after that, and I had a woman who followed me out of the restaurant and stood in the parking lot watching me get in my car and leave. So and again, the only thing I can think of is it's someone who's seen this post, who took it at face value and just has gotten a misunderstood idea of what we do and how we do it. And so we're a little more trying to make people aware, but also keep our safety in mind as well. So yeah. So, and if you guys ever hear of something and anybody has any questions, definitely.
Refer them into the office.
Yeah, definitely.
Would you enlighten us as to what Mark told you?
oh, years ago, I did ask Mark, you know, do we have rights? And he searched long and hard to find something. He did find in a statute that for appraisal purposes, we have the right to be on a property, and if we are asked to leave, we need to leave, which we always do. So, and then if the person would not allow us on the property to see, review, and they take us to the property tax appeal board, he felt that very strongly that they would probably find in our favor because burden of proof of what's on the property, it falls on the taxpayer. So if they won't provide any proof, I would rather not happen. I would rather know that our records are right, we have what's there is proper. If anything new's been added, unfortunately, yes, we have to pick it up, but we also look for anything that's been torn down. We've found multiple structures
Yeah.
that have been taken down and no one told us, so
Sounds
being
like
on
they
the
have something
property.
to hide. Yeah.
Why don't you just jack up the price the
Yeah,
next time they
Well,
don't do a problem?
and you do, that just seems mean and nasty, but yeah, it's
It's
the only
all
way
right.
you can get
So
them to talk to you.
Are you government people and know what you
Yeah.
do?
Well,
being
that was
nasty?
part of the post, that we're government people, we think we're better and have more power than everyone, and it's just not true, we're just doing our job.
We still like you.
Yeah.
And something else I thought of from that post too, was she had, because we take photos, front, back, just only of the taxable property for records. It is something we do for everybody, but she had put on there that, she made it sound like, in the words that she used, we were taking pictures of everything and all of her personal stuff. And that's not the case either, it's just a building, the house, I mean, you know, that stuff, and that's it.
I don't know what could be outside to be personal.
Well, our folks are professional,
Yes, they are.
and they're doing what they need to do, and they're not letting anything personal get in the way, and that's tough sometimes.
Yeah.
So I would like to commend them. I think, I'd like to send a message to the folks that post erratic and, let's say, incorrect information on the internet. That our folks are just doing what the state mandates us to do. We try to get off the property as quickly as we can and courteously as we can. That's how our staff operates. So I can't emphasize enough how disturbing it is to hear that there are people that hate that much that they criticize people that are just simply trying to do their jobs according to the law. So,
You was walking by my house the other day taking a picture of my new siding.
well, and anyway, a vast majority, as negative as that just sound what I said, 99% of the folks understand,
But it's still.
okay? And it just,
And we
thank
understand some of
those.
this, I mean, in these times, we understand why people are a little unnerved, and again, we try to be very open of who we are, what we're doing. Anytime someone comes out, we roll the windows down so they can see us and talk with us.
And this is not the first time.
Oh,
I mean,
no,
this has been, the same procedures are taking place year after year after year.
this
This
is
is
40 years
nothing
for me, I've been
new
doing this.
That our staff is doing. We're just simply doing our jobs according to Illinois state law. So, we hope that it doesn't get to the point where we have to add protection for them out there, but that is an option.
Yes.
So, any rate, thank you.
Thank you.
That's all we need to know.
We're sorry
Yeah.
for the way it makes you feel sometimes, okay?
As long as you're just aware.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what you get the big money for.
Yeah, that's right.
We need to talk about that.
Oh, don't get her started.
Just that I didn't.
Lisa, did you have a comment?
Well, yeah, I really think we need the newspaper's help on this, even if it's, of course, something in writing, but also, I'm on several different Facebook groups, and there are some very civic-minded ones out there that if they had information from the Prairie Press, they would share it, and it would probably reach a lot of the right people.
You get that?
I got that.
We did talk
I was
about
trying to
possibly a
telegraph
picture of
that
her
to
in
you
her car in the
anyway.
paper, so maybe for the next year, since we're almost finished, but for the next year, maybe a picture of her in the car in the paper, an announcement of the townships that would be reviewed, I don't know.
And make sure it's not on the legal news for the,
Right.
You might wanna lower my assessment, how's that? Just as a personal note,
Mine's going up.
you're a loser.
New siding.
okay, guys.
Okay, that's all we had to
We
say.
trust you.
Oh, yeah, don't
All right, appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
guys.
You're welcome.
All right, bye-bye.
Should come on my property.
Yeah, all right.
Nice.
I
don't
don't, Lisa, know whether you've got the tentative budget in front of you, but I wanted to go over some of the changes that we've made in that budget. Starting with page 1, we have increased state income tax because we did get some more information on where it was, so it bumped up about 45,000 to 900. That would be the 5th item down. The state income tax is now at 995,000. You go down a little farther and you see personal property tax. That's going up by 50 because we have more information on that. Then you go over to page 3, I believe, and interest income from First Farmers has gone up because of new quotes that we've got. It's probably not enough, but at least it denotes that 5,000 has gone up. Then you go down to a really important one. Towards the bottom third, you see 4815. It has Grant Drug Court, and we are budgeting in $50,000 of income from, and that's just a guess. It could be 40, it could be 60, but we don't know. And we at the sheriff's meeting, we talked about expanding our efforts to get into the drug court. And we're gonna have a meeting here in the next week or two with the primaries on that subject and see if we can't get a grant app in to get it started so we can get some time working with that program so eventually we can get certified. So we got 50 grand there. Transfer in of expenses went up by 23,000 to 900,000. Then at the very bottom of the page, we increased capital improvements to 895,000. That's up a couple of grand, or 25 grand. Then on the top of the next page, page 4, you'll notice we've got office fixture expense in there for where we might wind up as far as a new facility for treasurer's office, ESDA, possibly it could be eventually years down the line or even sooner. The county clerk could go in there, the let's see, what am I said, public defender. There's a number of different offices that could go in this new facility. So we're looking at that. Any questions so far? That kind of hits the expenses and income for the main administrative items. And we've talked about doing this, it's just, I wanted you to see it. Then we go to page 7, and we refigured what the state's attorney's final salary could be, and we never have, but we are, as of this, June 30th, July 1st is the beginning of the fiscal year for the state. So that's more than enough to cover what the state's attorney may make next year in July 1st of 23. So we adjusted that up by, I think, $3.8 thousand, just to make sure we were on the right track. Then on page 9, we have separated out the under sheriff's salary, 5,001, 5,002, 5,003, 5,004. We show each one of the administrators that are under that line item so you can see how much they're making. And the sheriff, of course, there's a little extra in there because as the state's attorney goes up July 1st, then so would the sheriff's salary automatically. Because it has to be, I believe, 80% of what the state's attorney makes. And then they reimburse us, we would do a P-tax sheet on that, and then we get reimbursed 66% of that. Okay, so that all shows there. Then the next page is page 10. About halfway down the page, you see 6017, which is cellular phones and services. The Sheriff's Committee heard about the ideas of having cell phones out with the deputies, one in 911, not assigned to any person, and one to corrections. So all of the folks that patrol the roads would have one. The cell phones that they use are subpoenable, and this would make it more controlled about how we do it. Also, the sheriff assures us, and we're going to talk about this further, that there would be no private phones allowed in the jail anymore. So we're going to, that's going to solve some of the issues that we've had that I think you're aware of, that we discussed in closed session. You may have missed that, but we're going to go. You know? Okay. Yeah, you do. I'm sorry.
One question.
Yes, sir.
Do I have enough money in the budget for road deputy overtime?
No, probably not, but
Okay,
it's
this one.
it's quite an increase over what it's been.
Okay.
And of course, we told them if they can cut, they want a 9th deputy. And we've said, well, if you can control overtime, maybe you can get a ninth
Yeah.
deputy, but
Okay.
right now we can't afford it, okay? Down at the bottom of the page, you'll see 76, I don't know whether that's 7,600 or, well, at any rate, travel and food used to be staff food. And we made it clear that if they need travel expense or food, then they need to follow state and county policy on its handling. Instead of just going, and I'm not saying this is the way they did it, instead of just buying food and bringing it in, they have to have receipts, there has to be a reason, and it has to be done correctly. Hello, Jeffrey. And then we had it before as just sheriff's food, we just added prisoner there. So it's a little bit better description of what it is. And let's see, we're almost done. Okay, at the top of page 16, we increased labor negotiations by 25,000. We only had, I think, 3,500 in there. It's gonna be a negotiation year. The sheriff and everybody thought that we needed to bump that up a little because $3,500 wouldn't deal with about a week's worth of phone calls.
Take care of the phone calls, yeah.
So, at any rate, that's what we're doing there. And then page 17, you'll notice halfway down the page, we've created a new department, Department 48, which is drug court. We put in there a salary of 60, which is balanced by the income from the drug court. I told him, Jeff, that we're gonna try to get together the principals in that and try to move forward on the drug court, at least initially, get it operating so that we see how it works, and then maybe make it a permanent and certified
Right,
deal, which you have to eventually get certified, but you can
but that
get,
could be a 1.5 to 2 year process.
right. But in the meantime, we wanted to seek grants, and they are available, and so I just wanted to make sure you're aware of that. So those are the main, well, that's all of them. And that puts us $5,978 surplus out of a 6,257,472 budget. So that's pretty much it. Okay, as far, I mean, we'll still discuss it at the next study session, but I wanted to make sure you had in your hands what the budget is at this point, from talking to all sides. Like I said, we talked to all the departments. The sheriff and the sheriff's committee got together last week and hammered out a few things, and I was telling them about the cell phones, how we want to get those out to the deputies, have a phone in 911, and then have a phone available to the COs. And that way, it would be available and FOIA, but there's personal phones. I think the sheriff, I told him, was moving to eliminating the possibility of having, just like weapons in the jail, no cell phones in the jail. Did you want to say anything about that,
No.
Judge?
Pretty much it.
Have I represented
Yeah.
it correctly? So that's pretty much it on the budget. The one thing I would like to talk about is the levy a little bit and get your feeling, and we'll talk this further because there's a couple of us missing. We've got Lisa here, but, oh, Lisa, I'm sorry. Before I move on, do you have any questions about what I just went over with the budget?
No.
Okay. Then what we need to discuss, and I think Lisa may have some contribution to this, is that we've got the levy for the health department is level, even with last year. They had requested roughly a 5% or a $12,000 increase in their levy. Bruce has indicated, and I don't know whether he's indicated this to you, Lisa, that their incomes are gonna drop substantially, I think is the word he used. And he didn't see any problem with increasing their budget by 12,000. They're currently getting about 240, and that would take them up to 252. But before I did that, I wanted to have input from the entire board, so you don't see it and then go, well, I disagree with that. I mean, we need some talk about it. Lisa, do you have thoughts?
Yes, I do.
Imagine that.
Yeah, surprise, surprise.
I don't feel like they have a strong enough grasp, or they have not really presented that they have really drilled down to find what their actual costs are. What we receive, that I have seen from the board, is not really a drill down. I see a lot of estimates. When you ask them, can you afford it? Yes, we can, or yes, I think we can. I don't know that I feel that we have really seen that they analyzed to the extent that they could, and I'm not sure giving them more money will cause them to do a better job at that.
Comments?
Makes sense to me.
They do.
They're not totally cooperating, is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not saying they're not cooperating. I'm saying, from my time on the board, Dan, you feel free to give your input on this. I don't know that I have seen that it is truly needed.
I think what she's trying, and I've talked to Lisa about this, but we needed to talk about it. You know how we do due diligence when we go into something, whether it's buying a piece of property or doing this or doing that. I mean, we've spent months on our budget, and I think we all, at least I hope we all feel relatively comfortable that, because we have things that we have to hit, because we really can't spend more money than what the budget says. So, in 12 grand, in the scheme of things, it's not like we're taking away half their budget or half their levy. We're not talking 50 grand.
Anything else from me?
No,
Okay.
unless you,
Later.
yeah. Oh, well, no, but that's not set up. Donnie's the point. Sorry, Jeff, just last, Lisa. Now I lost my thought. What was I saying?
12,000's
12,000.
not that big of a deal, but
Right.
it's,
But it does
Still.
send a message. I don't think anybody anymore wants to reduce their levy. But maybe that we want them to do better due diligence like we do and justify their budget a little
Well, they
bit.
should.
And this sort of, without getting out of hand, it kind of sends a message.
Now, Lisa,
Yes.
probably it's not a correct question to ask, but are we gonna reduce the salary of Monica and Jen? If they do, they'll have $60,000 more dollars in the budget. or
That's where I
something.
was going. Thank you.
Okay.
That's where I,
When they meet Wednesday morning, which I will only be there as Jane Q. Public, not voting, it is to do a more complete job of making it official what their salaries will be. And Bruce had done the research and had presented the health board with numbers, and we agreed on it, but we didn't do a thorough job on making the motion. So it does set them back in line with what they were making before. And actually, because Janet at the moment is will be assistant administrator, her rather than the administrator, her salary is pretty substantially reduced from what it is right now.
If you will let me, the administrator's salary, as I read it, would be $82,097.
And you're reading that from page 9 or 10, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
And then the assistant administrator would be $76,505. So there's roughly, what is that?
About $70,000.
$6,400 difference. Okay?
Yeah.
So that's substantially. Go ahead,
Yeah.
please. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, and my issue is we don't have position descriptions. They have not been presented to us at any rate. But Janet says she wants to focus on grants. Like, all right, I know that they are very grant driven and they receive a lot of grants, but as a board member, I haven't seen anything that tells me how much of their expenses are covered by grants. I mean, not the nitty gritty detail. I would want to see to justify an additional $12,000 of local money.
Yeah, and that, Danny is right, and that was the point I was gonna make. That's basically $74,400 less in payroll
Right.
with those reductions.
Right, now, and they would tell you, well, we're also getting a great reduction in COVID money, and that is true. But my suggestion is not do a levy increase. They really need to prove where the money's gonna go.
I think we're all, the four of us are in agreement with you, Lisa, okay?
Okay,
But I thought we ought to talk about that openly and discuss it. I don't think that's inappropriate because that was all brought up at the last meeting of the Health Department Board. So we're not discussing anything that hasn't been discussed already. And even if it were, it should be openly discussed. Anything else you need to add to that situation? Yes, Dan?
Are they gonna have to return the money?
No, don't go there.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
okay, that's
That's,
fine.
they're figuring that out.
Okay,
And there's gonna be recommendations, if I'm correct, and options presented by Bruce and Bellwether.
my feeling
right,
should
and
have to.
that won't be at this Wednesday, that'll be
That'll be at
hopefully at the next board
Okay. I
meeting
just
next
wondered.
month.
They are trying to, the answer, Dan, without getting specific, is yes. They're trying to work out something that deals with the taxpayer issue and.
Well, people ask, that's the reason why.
Oh, absolutely, but we've gotta be careful about what we say,
Okay, all right, fine,
okay?
that's fine.
Anything else now, Lisa? I'm sorry.
No,
Okay, do you wanna give any report that you need to make on anything?
no, the solar wise, the first solar project that we approved and is waiting for the November board meeting to formally approve the minutes, so that Ryan has that. The second solar farm that was presented to me for more information, when I emailed him and said we need proof from Ameren that you would be a retail, not wholesale, I haven't heard back from him.
Okay. Well, then, hopefully, they're not doing anything they shouldn't be doing.
Yep. And I don't have any more information. I don't have any details. I didn't figure that was really my place at the time. So let's see. No, I've just been pretty consumed with health board.
That's fine. I mean, I just wanted to make sure you had an opportunity. Obviously, we're gonna be back together a week from today,
Yeah.
on the 31st of October. So wear your costumes.
Which,
I got mine on.
At any rate, Dan, do you have anything from the animal shelter?
I can't get a hold of her, so she doesn't answer my.
When does
text.
your new person start? Or have they
I
started?
have no idea. I can't get much information right now.
Okay.
I'll have it for next week.
Okay. Russ, do you have anything?
no, why are we having another meeting? Is there some special reason? I
We
think-
have to discuss, this be our last opportunity to discuss the levy and the budget. before
I knew
we
there was
pass
a
it.
reason.
Right, and because it's regularly scheduled, it's just so close because of the way the calendar is. Augie, do you have anything?
No, we have 2 meetings in November. Normally it's the second Wednesday, but we're gonna go a week ahead of time.
Well,
And
that's the reason.
then later in the month, because the budget has to lay open for
I
15
thought it had
days.
something to do with the budget.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
so that's what it is. And
Just
no, I
wondering.
don't, thank you.
Make sure I had the right days.
Do you have anything else, Augie? I wanted to point out, we are planning a health department exercise, they need one. We're gonna meet tomorrow morning at ESDA, and the health department needs to conduct an event and an exercise, and we're gonna be planning that in the morning. So trying to get everybody heading in the right direction, okay? This is another opportunity to make that happen, and make sure that no department drifts away, that everybody's part of that. To that end, we're gonna be trying to seek out more participation. We only meet once a month on a normal basis, that we get participation from the various departments. Okay, more than obviously we have the steadfast ones, but we need to expand it a little bit more, okay? And we're gonna be working to do that. I don't have anything else, and since what we discussed openly is all I was gonna review, we don't really need a closed session unless you folks feel we do. Okay? Is there anything else to come before the study session? Do we have any public comment? Gary, do you have any questions that you would like to baffle us with? Okay.
Maybe I shouldn't ask this. There was nothing in the paper this week about the health department meeting last week. Is there a reason?
Wasn't able to get there.
Okay, I just wanted, not that I'm missing anything,
No, I just,
about the only thing in there that makes any sense.
I had scheduled something else that morning before they
Understood.
ever set that date, Matt.
That's
We just
fine.
couldn't
That's
get
fine.
anybody there.
That's fine. I'll forgive you this time.
Okay.
Next week, we'll have more of an update
Okay.
on the COs, the correctional officers will have more probably information on that, okay? But there's nothing that we need to discuss, and there's nothing I need to make you aware of today in closed session, so. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn. Russ seconds, Russ moves, Phil seconds. I'm gonna get that in order. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. We're adjourned. Thank you.